Welcome to ArchiSpeak, the podcast that talks about what it's like to work in the profession of architecture. All right.
So do you guys have a pull trailer, an RV trailer?
No. So we're driving up. My parents do.
Okay.
When we went to Yellowstone last time, they had this old 60s trailer that we pulled.
Mm-hmm.
It was very heavy, but it was cool. And we pulled that all the way up from our house. But this time we've got it all figured out. So my parents are in Truckee at the Donner Pass, right? That's where their house is. And they are driving east over to Jackson Hole.
Okay.
And we are driving north to Jackson Hole, and we're going to rendezvous there. It's a relatively new trailer, so they're going to teach us how to use it for a couple days, and then we're going to take it all the way up to Glacier. So we're going to swap cars at that point. So we're driving, I don't know, up to Salt Lake City, up to Jackson Hole in our car with the bikes on the back, and then we're going to swap all that over to the trailer, and they're going to take my car back to Truckee, and we'll go back through Truckee on the way back home and drop the trailer and truck back off and swap cars again.
So how do you normally get up there? Do you take I-5 or?
I-5 is the fast way. I think you mean the 5. Is that what you mean?
Americans say, yes, the 5.
We take the 5. I like to go up 395, which is a more scenic route up through the Eastern Sierra, basically.
Okay, I see it in the map.
The worst part is down here of 395. It's through Mojave Desert, which is just really boring desert to look at least in that area. And then you get up into the really southern Sierra area around Ridgecrest, and then it just gets beautiful after that. And we'll take that up to Tahoe or to Mammoth or whatever. And that's a beautiful way to go. 5 or 99, both. Typically, we take the 99 because it goes through a lot of towns, and so bathroom breaks.
Yeah,
5 is just nothing. It's desolate, but it is 5 lanes of 85 miles an hour, so it's fast. Where 99 is 2 lanes. Anyway, yeah, you get up to Sacramento, then you head east on 80 and go over to Truckee.
Yeah, I'm looking at. I looked up Truckee, and sure enough, it says, as you zoom in on it, it has the old Donner Memorial State Museum.
Yeah, been there many times. There's a giant statue out in front of that thing.
Is there
for the Donner Party? Yeah.
Is there a steak joint right outside?
That'd be awesome if they're grilling meat.
Donner
Dogs.
Donner Diner.
Come get your Donner Dogs. It's a mixture of meats.
What's this chewy thing? Oh, that's a fingernail. You're horrible. Wait, I said it. All right. So
yeah, Donner Lake is a great spot.
So you guys
can drive up to the pass and you can look down on Donner Lake and go rock climbing up there. It's a playground. It's beautiful.
So tell me what states you're going through.
So we're going to drive up through. Okay, so we're in California. That one counts because it's huge. And then we go through. Then we go through Nevada, through Vegas, up to Zion National Park, which is Utah at that point. So we do pass through Arizona right outside of Nevada for a minute. It's a very small piece of Arizona. We've actually stayed there before. When we towed the previous trailer up to Yellowstone, I think that was our first, because of the time that we started driving, it was later in the day already. So we stopped in Mesquite, which is right inside of Arizona, and it was so freaking hot, but there was a pool at the campground. So that's why we stayed there. Not that you can really do that now. I don't think that that's possible. But all the pools seem to be closed. But we'll go in. We're staying in Zion for a couple days. We're going to do the Narrows. We're going to go find our our love lock that we put on the one of the fences when we got married there.
Yeah, cool.
You got to sort through thousands of locks and try to find yours again. But, it's engraved. So it's always fun because it's kind of a race for the kids who can find it first.
Hmm.
And that's really cool because that's like right inside the park. And that, it's just a special place for us. So we'll go back up to where we got married, the spot we got married in the Temple of Sinawava, and walk through by the river and then go up and do the Narrows hike and stuff. And then we're going to start heading up toward Jackson Hole, and we don't have to be Jackson Hole for 4 or 5 more days. So we're just going to figure it out as we go. I don't have any stops planned. We're just going to do whatever feels right. And so then at that point, we'll still be in Utah. Then we'll cross over into Wyoming for Jackson Hole and stay at the Tetons for a couple days. And
nice.
last time we were at the Tetons, it was totally socked in and you couldn't even see the mountain range. And we're going to, obviously go to the visitor center there, the BCJ design. And that's a really cool visitor center. And then we're going to do a bunch of hiking trails and stuff, hopefully around there. Learn how to use the trailer, meet up with my parents at that point.
Oh, so you're not actually going to Truckee, or you're going to go to Truckee at the end?
At the end.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah, so we take the 15 basically all the way up to Salt Lake City and then head over towards Jackson Hole.
Okay. Because I was a little confused. I was like, wait, you're going to drive all the way to Truckee to then go to Zion? That's, well,
right.
That's a little weird. So check it. It's 2,610 miles from my house to Truckee. I'll go pick it up for you.
Oh, okay. Well, you could just meet us in Jackson Hole. That's a little closer.
Yeah. Actually, it's, wow. So
not easy to get to.
The one, I'd have to go through. No, this one takes me through Nebraska instead of Kansas.
Yeah.
Kansas. Sorry, Kansas. God. What a flat drive.
That's where my dad's dad is. Actually, both my dad's parents are from Kansas.
Yeah.
Never been there.
It is flat.
Flat. Yes, as those plains states are. So let's see. Yeah, we'll be just in the the western edge of Wyoming, basically, and then we're going to drive up through Yellowstone and into Montana up toward Bozeman and stay up there for a couple days. And then we're going to drive up to Glacier, which is northwestern Montana.
Nice, yes. Yeah. Montana's huge.
It is.
I mean,
all these states out here are pretty big.
It went off the rails when it came to drawing the state lines out west of the Mississippi.
It's pretty hilarious to look at. I saw actually somebody posted an image on Twitter the other day of it's just the basic states lines,
mm-hmm.
and somebody just mirrored the image, and it was mind bending. It was like you've seen this shape your whole life, and now it's backwards.
Oh,
and it was your eyes like were bugging out looking at it. Mm-hmm. It was super weird. You should look that up. It's awesome.
So I saw somebody post the other day something about the average American only sees 8 states in their lifetime.
What?
And in some cases, some people don't even travel out of their own home state. And I was just looking at it, and
I'm surprised that I'm not.
Well, I mean, it would be pretty easy for you to just stay within California and be able to experience every possible climatic.
Oh, dude, we have so many climate zones here.
I know, exactly. But so
we have 16 climate zones.
in the continental U.S., I have only not been to 8 states.
Oh wow! Look at you, Mr. Inverse.
And exactly. And then overall, I've not been to 10 states because I have not been.
Okay, so let's quickly name off the the ones that you have not been to.
Have not been to.
Since
So,
you have a running list, I don't have that list.
so they are all mostly in the upper Northwest.
Well, you also said you haven't been to Maine.
Yes, so I have not been to Maine. That is
Okay.
the
East
only
Coast.
that is the only eastern seaboard, and we were within miles, but
You were so close.
we were, but we decided to go to Salem, Massachusetts instead. So witches, Maine.
Yes. Of course, you chose witches.
We chose witches. So Maine, the only one on the eastern seaboard, and pretty much the only one like west of the line. If you drew a line straight down Minnesota and went east, that's the only state that I have not hit. But then, so I've not hit Maine, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, North Dakota, and South Dakota. That's it.
That's right, because when you came out here with your boy,
Yep.
you guys did like the Nevada, Utah, Colorado, I assume. You drove back through there.
Yes. Yeah. And so we actually hit both Nebraska and Kansas on that drive back.
Very cool.
So
those were the new ones. That was new territory for you a couple of years ago.
I've been through Kansas a couple of times, but I had never been through Nebraska, so we wanted to hit Nebraska.
Isn't South Dakota where the biggest ball of twine is? Or is that Nebraska?
No, that's actually Kansas.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
Yep.
Got to plan that trip still.
Yeah, that is it's off of Old 24. Yes. It's in Cawker City. Cawker. Yeah, it's off of Old 24.
Looking at it, not that it really matters.
Yeah.
It all looks the same.
It sure in the hell felt like it when we were driving across it.
It's surprisingly green in the mapping. I didn't really expect that.
What, Kansas?
When I have this mental image of Kansas, yeah, that's just kind of like...
That's all farmland.
Yeah. It is, geez. I guess it's funny because you zoom in on the map and it is all brown when you zoom in far enough.
Right. So,
but if you zoom out, it's various shades. It's mostly green. It looks very green in Apple Maps, at least.
Yeah. So I'm looking in Google Maps right now, and in Google Maps, if you look at the state line border of Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, all the way down to Louisiana, that whole line, everything to the east of it is green and mountainy and hilly and in some way, shape, or form. And then everything to the west is like
flat
and
super flat,
wide on open.
Yeah. Interesting. That's cool. I got to do that sometime. Yeah, and then you get out into New Mexico, and it's amazing how many mountains there are in New Mexico.
Oh, I know.
It's beautiful. Up in Santa Fe and
Taos and then
stuff.
In the Springs area in northern New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, yeah.
It's beautiful. But it's funny because you start to see the roads really get twisty versus out in Kansas and Oklahoma and stuff. They're pretty much like
straight lines.
Straights with some diagonals, yeah. I mean, they're just various angles, and then you get into New Mexico and they start twisting. Even in Arizona, they're pretty twisty. So yeah, it's cool, man. I can't wait to go on this road trip and be kind of in our own little self-encapsulated travel capsule and go see some new territory.
All right, so of the states that I haven't been to, which are all those kind of like northwestern and plain states, you are going to hit at least 3 of them?
Well, on the way back, we're going back down through Idaho.
So you're going to go to Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho?
Yep. Utah, Nevada, a little bit of Arizona, and California. Those are the 8.
Wow.
No, sorry, 7. I guess it's 7 states. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's 7 states, not 8.
The thing that really
so that's when we'll be heading back down over to Truckee, Tahoe area, and then we'll drive our car back home from there. We'll fly back home down the 395 or whatever.
Oh, so you're leaving your car? Wait.
My parents are taking my car from the Tetons back to Truckee, and then we're going to take the trailer back to Truckee and swap on the way home.
Gotcha. That's nice. That sounds great.
I know it's like it's funny the my oldest child and a friend of his, my parents were planning a big graduation trip for him to go to Alaska, and obviously all that got canceled. And they were going to go fly fishing and do photography and live the life basically
Hmm.
for a couple of weeks, and that got canceled until maybe next year. Hopefully that'll still happen. So in the
Sense.
meantime, they went up to Truckee and they went
Oh,
over to the redwoods and
beautiful.
they camped out, and it was awesome. Him and his buddy were like fishing every day, and they decided that they were going to build a little fire ring and on the edge of this river that's just all rock, and they built a fire. They caught a fish. They threw the fish on the log, cooked it, and ate it right there on the side of the river. And it's like, wow, you're really roughing it. And he just had this big grin, like he thought it was the best experience ever. And I mean, they're right there. They pulled the fish out of the river. They cleaned it. They cooked it. They ate it. And they kept on fishing. Like, it's such a cool little experience that they had. Like, nobody does that.
Yeah,
Most people don't go out of their state, Cormac.
it's clearly. So, it was great because the trip that I did with my oldest when he graduated happened to coincide with the AIA convention, and so we flew out there and then rented a car and tried to hit as many states and kind of follow the fun little path of the Atlas Obscura, where we just kind of like
That's
found
right.
weird little roadside
That's
stuff.
so cool. Yeah.
And so my now rising senior, who looks like he's going to be robbed out of an actual like senior year. We were talking about this. It's like, so the seniors that lost out on their graduation this past year, yeah, that sucked. But
You don't even get a senior year.
but they were they closed down schools in March, and for the most part, most seniors have already checked out by then anyway.
Well,
Um,
they didn't get a prom and they didn't
and
get a
so
graduation. Those are like the two
right,
things.
and
Yeah.
so they didn't get the prom and they didn't get the graduation. This year's crop of seniors might not get a year at all,
Yeah.
and because we're already starting our school year, or we will be
Mm-hmm.
starting our school year, all virtual. Like
Yep.
everybody else's, yes.
Yep.
And so his first semester will be all virtual, no football, no nothing, no
Oh, yeah.
so no senior year of football, no senior year of rugby, no senior year of any of all those things, no first day of school of the senior year. Like how everybody always posts the pictures of their kids, first
Yep.
day of school, and they're like
Oh,
wearing
yeah,
their
yeah.
like.
Now everyone's doing it in their house. Yeah.
I'll post pictures of first day at school and him like asleep in his pajamas in his bed.
Yep.
Oh,
Well, Jack, my one of my other boys, he started 10 days ago.
wow, that's great. I
Yeah,
forget you
they
guys.
start really
I
early.
forget you guys always start early.
Yeah.
So his trip though, the trip that he wants to do, he's like, oh, well, if you drove across country with Aiden, he's an adult, so he can have a name. But when I drove across country with him, that was great for him, and it was like, oh, it kind of set the precedence. So
Yes.
my son being my middle child being my middle child, and wanting to one up everybody, he says, all right, so our trip is going to be Miami to Anchorage.
Yeah, that's right. I remember you telling me that.
One way trip right now.
Yeah.
49,000 or 4,953 miles.
Wow. And you're up for it, right?
I'm up for it.
Heck yeah.
I mean, the
Well, as long as you can get through Canada at that
yeah.
point.
Well, that was the bummer, is because when we were in Minnesota, not a few weeks ago, to literally be looking right at the border crossing
Yeah.
and not be able to go across just sucked. I mean, you had to have quite a bit of paperwork to prove that you were an essential worker to be able
Well, you're a
to
podcaster. Of course you can do it.
see. I should have done that. I,
Oh man.
I really want to visit where my grandparents or great grandparents emigrated from Ireland to Canada, and they emigrated to Nova Scotia, and I would really love to see that. Don't think I'm ever going to see it. or at least it doesn't seem like it. All the way out on the edge, the North Atlantic edge of Nova Scotia.
That's awesome. That's where my father's mother's family is from. They went up there a couple of years ago and visited all the old sites of the Troxels in the Patriquins back then. It was pretty cool to go visit.
See,
that's where they came through.
I told you I found that we apparently had a marital tie to Troxels.
Oh, that's right. You did say that. Yeah, that's freaky.
Yeah. So, brother, so cuz. So weird.
I feel a little delirious because I think since last we recorded, I've probably worked every night during the weeks to try to get a little closer on our remodel, and then every weekend just 12, 14-hour days trying to basically save money. It's kind of not worth it, right? But it does justify the tool ownership, but at the same time, it's so difficult. It is hard work. I was thinking about this yesterday, so tell me what your reaction is to this. It's amazing to me how, because I was going to tweet this out, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So you're first one to hear this. It's amazing how often architects have to think upside down and in reverse.
Yeah.
And builders. I'm not just architects, but architects and builders, because I was trying to do this yesterday and I suck so bad at it. It's like I have to do it so much and I still suck so bad at it.
So let me give you this little story. So one time I was sitting in the executive conference room at Washington University in St. Louis, and I was sitting around with our clients and everything else, and we were talking about, some phasing and how we kind of needed to like push some of the phasing of this new pedestrian bridge a year out from where we had anticipated actually starting the project. And so they're like, well, but, we can't leave the project site the way it looks. We want to build something temporary to dress it up, because, we bring tours through and everything else, and we want it to look, nice. And so we started kind of brainstorming, and I was like, well, I've got, a couple of ideas that, maybe I can sketch up. And they're like, well, sure, let's talk about it. And so, they had some drawings laying in front of them, and I laid some trace paper over them, and I started drawing. They're sitting on the opposite side of the table of me, and I'm drawing it out loud and stuff, and they're like, yeah, I like the way that this is going. And then he stopped. He's like, wait, did you just draw the whole thing upside down? I'm like, yeah, I was drawing it so that you could see it, not so I could see it, but so you could see it. And they're like, you couldn't have just drawn it and then turned the paper around? I'm like, nah. And I drew the whole entire sketch completely upside down.
That's awesome. Yeah, it is a skill that is developed, and to me, the drawing part of it, because you're used to looking at RCPs, and
yeah,
you do get used to looking at things upside down. But okay, so here's my experience yesterday. Was I'm putting up a ceiling with my wife, and it's a tongue and groove ceiling, and we have to go around stuff. It's not just a simple rectangle. And the tongue and grooves, as you may or may not know, like they're not just on the long edges of the board, they're on the short edges of the board too, right? And there is definitely on this ceiling system that we chose an up and a down. So the down is finished, the up is not, right? So the part you're not going to see is not finished. So it really matters which direction these boards are facing when you're cutting them, and obviously cutting and planning all the different lengths, and so that they fit together and you get the right pattern in the ceiling, because the boards are not continuous the entire length of the room. So it's like a deck, right? But it's in reverse. It's tongue and groove. It's upside down. Oh my God, I made so many errors.
Oh no.
So many errors. And eventually you learn enough to like get a system, and you should see, I'll take a picture of the sketch that I had to do, because we event on the second room after we learned everything that not to do on the first room. On the second room, we planned it all out. We planned all the lengths of the cuts. And then I even had to draw little diagrams of which end of the board I cut off to keep the right end in check. And I still screwed it up so many times. And then basically I'm out there operating the saw all day long. Cut, 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 cut. Hand off, Jesse takes them all in and installs them. So she's working with her hands over her head. I mean, I did the first room and she helped me finish up that one. And then she put the whole second room up
Oh
almost by
wow.
herself while I'm doing all the cuts, just because we were running out of daylight and we needed to get done because we're leaving tomorrow. Right.
And
So, oh my gosh, what a crazy day. And we were just hurting so bad by the time we were done last night, mentally and physically, I have to say.
so did you finish?
We did. Like,
Wow.
and seriously, the last board I pulled out is the last board. Like, I
It was
ordered
like
exactly the right amount of material, even with all my errors, and I did have quite a bit of waste. I'm like super ashamed of. We'll use it for some other project, but it's because that's the other thing. Like, you figure out what you're not good at, and what I'm not good at is planning how to use that stuff efficiently so that there isn't waste. Because I don't do this all the time. It's like, where do the cuts go? And definitely could have spent all that time pre-planning all of that out, but I didn't. I'm so busy. Like, since the last time we talked, I've done drywall, electrical, and then insulation first. We re-insulated the walls and added an additional 1.5 inches of rigid. Then we put in furring strips. Then we did drywall, ran all the electrical before all that, and then drywall came in, and I did not do the drywall myself, so that just happened. I don't want to take credit for that. The guys did an amazing job, and then I painted it, and I inhaled so many fumes because I did a airless sprayer, those
okay, yeah, yeah,
mechanical pump.
yeah.
That thing was awesome because so we primed the whole thing by hand with rollers.
Mm.
So that's another thing we did. We primed everything, and then because the drywall, it just sucks up paint, right? And then I spray painted the whole thing, and that went way faster. So just to give people an idea of painting times, when we did the primer, 2 of us with rollers, 3 hours, so 6 hours total. With the airless sprayer, after that, I did the whole thing in 1.5 hours by myself.
Wow.
That's how much faster it is. And I mean, the finish is perfect. As long as, you don't load up too much paint, you won't get any runs. But quite a difference. But also, like, I probably took 2 years off of my life with all that paint. And I was wearing a mask, but I don't have a respirator. So that's the big thing. I definitely had like paint boogers after that. So then after the paint, I had to do various like caulk and stuff to just
Right. To
clean things up. Then we had to cut in a bunch of duplex and whatever boxes, receptacles, boxes. And then we had to wired up a bunch of outlets, not all of them, but a lot of them, and switches and stuff. And then we put in the ceiling. So like that's all happened since the last time we talked, which was like 2 weeks ago. And that is just nights and weekends. So it's been a crazy how fast we're trying to because we need to get it done so that school can happen and so that work can happen. Because right now we're operating out of various nooks and crannies of the house, and it's cramped and it's a mess. So
yeah, I think the next few weeks. Well, actually, we don't have a few weeks. The next like week and a half or so, we've got to kind of like make sure that everybody is arranged in there. I mean, because we will have everybody from me operating just a day-to-day work schedule to my wife conducting classes, which as of right now, they are actually doing a blended in-person virtual classroom. So we'll see how long that lasts. But then, when she eventually does come home to do a full virtual, she'll need to have her own space. Then we have a 7th grader, a senior, and a college sophomore, all operating virtually within this house.
Jeez. Yep.
So everybody will be gainfully employed with some form of virtual world, which means that I am going to, because I've recently been getting booted off of my Zoom calls because of bandwidth issues, is I'm going to
Oh no.
I'm going to start hardwiring everything so that
Yeah,
everybody has their
that's
own.
definitely something I did in that room is I put in network cable for a bunch of different locations, and I got to wire up all that stuff still as far as like, into the switch and
Yeah,
all
yeah,
that good stuff. But for that exact reason, because we're all going to be online all the time, and hardwired is better than wireless for sure. You
yeah,
just get too saturated with the wireless, and
yep,
it
yep,
doesn't work.
yeah. And then, not only is everybody like on their laptop device wireless, but then they have their phone going right next to it, connected to the Wi-Fi. So, you've got twice as many devices, pulling down our Wi-Fi. And yesterday, I was on a meeting for a new project, and sure enough, um, I got booted off 3 times.
Wow. Yeah. It happens. Happens a lot. And it's like, what else is going on in the house right now? You start thinking, what else is going on, and what are my neighbors doing? And
Ah,
I can
yeah.
only imagine what's going on with
Well,
bandwidth right now across the country, across the world,
exactly. If you think
and how
about this,
dependent we are on it. It's insane.
it would be interesting to kind of like figure out what architects did during the last pandemic. Obviously everything was all, hand drawn and all that other stuff, so they weren't too dependent on the, any form of like phone or whatever else, um, or telegraph machine. So
Mm.
it's kind of interesting. It's like, did they how did they work, or did they work? And now that we're working all from home and everything is 100% digital, um, if something were to happen, power outages, massive brownouts or things like that, how devastating that would be.
Yeah, totally. I keep thinking like that's going to happen, right?
And you guys used to have systematic like rolling brownouts all the time.
Oh yeah, totally is a thing here in the summer for sure. When all the ACs kick on, when everybody went home from work at
Right.
5 o'clock, 5:30. Yeah, and that's why there was a huge move by the power companies to basically have overrides on everybody's home system that you could opt into. It wasn't like a mandatory thing, but it was opt in, save substantial money on your electric bill, and basically they can override your thermostat so that they could control that, the
and
load
yet
and
for some
where it's
reason
happening.
and yet for some reason everybody seems to be so hesitant on you know natural power sources like wind and solar.
Yeah,
you
totally.
know
I would say though that Southern California and probably the western desert states like Nevada and where they are populated have really adopted solar, probably the
but
leading areas in the country. But because we have clear skies most of the time, it's really dry, so you don't get a lot of cloud cover here, and solar really does work here
mhm.
compared to a lot of other places.
You have the entire country of Germany, who's on
Yes.
renewable energy. And then
Yes.
I will say this: I found it very interesting that a lot of the Midwestern states that I've driven through have they have you can see the solar. I mean, not the solar arrays. You can see wind is pretty prevalent, like in the northern portion of Michigan, up into the Upper Peninsula. Maybe not necessarily the Upper Peninsula, but northern portion of Michigan. There's a lot of wind turbines in there, and then Pennsylvania, New York. I've seen them all over there. I'm not sure I've seen any in Ohio yet, but it just makes sense. You've got all of this wind coming off of these Great Lakes
Right.
that
Right.
you could completely harness.
Yep.
And contrary to popular belief, wind is not a limited resource.
Yeah, I can't even. So switching gears a little bit, I can't even fathom the size of those lakes. Like they're just lakes in quotes to me. They're not lakes; they're oceans. Is there any?
Well,
Is there any kind of like? Uh,
they are yes, they call them the Great Lakes, and they are pretty great. But my wife and I always refer to them as the inland seas.
yeah. Yeah. Do they get waves and stuff on them, right? Because of those winds?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I got picked up and body slammed in Lake Huron by some wind driven waves, and it like bruised my hip for weeks from
Dude.
like just being like pile drove into the sand.
So
Uh,
is there any use of current generators that you know of? Do they do any
um,
of that kind of thing?
no, they don't. I mean, there's a lot of people who try to keep any of that stuff out of the lakes.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, they are still pretty damn clean, even though there's a massive shipping channel that kind of goes through Lake Michigan, on into Huron, and then kind of out, like the other Erie and Ontario, and then out through the St. John River. And so there's that kind of constant influx of large shipping and stuff like that. But for the most part, you go to some of these places and they are like Lake Superior is not. I mean, they do have some shipping, but it's not as extreme as like the border states around like Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
But
I was just wondering
but
if that was
they're
another source of
mm,
renewable energy. I've seen pretty cool proposals and ideas around those current generators that they sit out there like in the bottom of the bay or
it would
the
be
ocean or
interesting.
whatever and use the naturally occurring currents that happen there because they're pretty consistent in the ocean, right?
And well, they're pretty consistent in the lakes too.
I would assume,
Uh,
yeah, there's been so much
in
data
fact,
collection that they would know all that
e-
stuff.
yeah, every time you go to like the kind of like a state park or a national park that's on the lakes, they talk about the currents. They talk about hey, if you're going to take a kayak out, which I found pretty interesting, because we had like a trailer full of kayaks, but they were all like the recreational kayaks,
Yeah.
and they're like, yeah, you can't use them out here.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
and
They're not
yeah, you have
seaworthy.
yeah, you have well, yeah. I mean, they
There's a difference, yeah, in ocean kayaks
there's total
versus
difference,
recreational kayaks. They've got like
and
channels running on the bottom and all kinds of anti-tip kind of tech built into
yes,
them. Yeah.
and they're a lot heavier.
Yeah.
So and then the sea kayaks, like we watched a bunch of people. Sadly, we watched people go out in kayaks when we couldn't, but they had the long bowed sea kayaks, and they look pretty stable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So looks like I gotta buy a sea kayak.
Gotta own one. Don't just rent them when you need them. Buy it.
Yeah,
Store it.
yeah.
You know, take care of it. All those things. Oh, speaking of, that's like an upcoming project. We got to clean out our garage. It's so bad. And for those people out there thinking like there's nothing architectural to talk about, like I'm sorry, people, we are checked out.
Yeah. So it's interesting is that I get an email from our engineers that we were talking about like next steps and the upcoming schedules and deliverables and things like that for this project, and they're like, well, we're not going to be working on this project till mid-September. And of course you do a double take. You're like, say what? And they're like, we needed to give our engineers a break. We've been working on this project for almost 2 years now.
Wow.
And then you stop and you're like, oh crap, we have been.
You just get tunnel
We've
vision. Yeah.
literally been nonstop on this project for 2 years.
Well, good for them for recognizing that.
And I and somebody had emailed me and they were like, what's up with that email that we just got? And I'm like, I don't know why we didn't do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow. It's
we
interesting. I was wondering, I saw somebody had brought up this idea, and so I'll just bring it up here. I can't attribute it. But it was like mental health studies in 10 years. What are they going to say happened in 2020? To what
okay.
extent, to what extent has this gone to that we're unaware of? Kind of like what you're talking about right now. Wow, we have been doing that for this long, nonstop, and we don't even recognize it because there's no such thing as time anymore, right? It's just constant. I think it's going to be a big eye-opening study that's going to be
Yeah.
done. Yeah.
It. I mean, it's amazing that who like we sit around and they're just like, oh yeah, it's Wednesday, and they're like, dude, it's Friday. Like what? Wait, what?
Yes. There's
And
no,
it's like
you don't even know. Yeah.
so many people have like lost track of like what actual day it is, and
Well, I was
it,
putting my kids to bed last night and my daughter said, she's like, I can't wait to go on our trip. I'm like, that's tomorrow. I like, she's like, what? She thought it was Wednesday, and it was Friday. It's insane. Even kids, right, who are like the sharpest.
right, yeah. Well, I mean, they've like totally lost, like all concept of like time and date,
Yeah.
because like now,
Activities have all been canceled, right? So they
my
don't have
my
any markers.
yeah. So like my daughter, like without, she's just, her body is, set to she can't stay awake any later than 9:30, and usually wakes up early, and she just naturally wakes up on a certain schedule. And even her now has like, things have like shifted and changed, and now she's staying up later and, sleeping in longer and all this other stuff. And you're just like, you know, somebody who was like clockwork, like on the dime. She was like always like waking up. I never had to wake her up for school. I never had to like tell her to go to sleep. She was always like, all right, I'm done. Good night, go to bed. And she's just like lost all kind of concept now, because just every there's no like demand on time, which
Yeah.
leads me to the obvious, which is time is a construct of
Yes,
you
it
know
is. People.
I mean,
Flawed
we
people.
don't we don't we don't need it, man.
Oh man.
I'll wake up when I feel like waking up. I will give you the 8 hours of work whenever within the 24-hour period of time that, I do it, whether, when and where I do it. And I'll go to sleep when I want and just let me roll.
Yeah,
And I don't need no office.
exactly. You don't. It's amazing how much this has changed everything. It
We had,
allows you to rethink why you do things the way you do. And because normally you're just so caught up in doing things the way you do them, you never get the opportunity to kind of step back and resurvey the landscape of all of these things that are so, quote unquote, fundamental to the way that we work. And you start to question the viability of it anymore because things are different now.
yeah. Yeah. It, yes.
So,
So let me ask you this out of curiosity, because we were in a PM meeting yesterday, and we were talking about projects that we were going after, and even in uh, Jeff Eccles' um, daily podcast that he does, kind of like live stream that he does. We were talking about how we're going about getting new projects and new work in the current era of time, um, and how everything is, nothing is face to face anymore. Everything is, on, virtually. And, are you guys doing that? I'm kind of assuming that you guys are. Is like,
mm-hmm.
Going after and landing new projects,
Yeah, totally.
without ever, shaking a hand or seeing somebody face to face,
Yeah, totally.
which, leads me to believe that, kind of the next step in the evolution of the office,
Did you
or
see
the
the Did
non-office.
you see the letter that REI posted like a week ago?
No, no.
Yeah, so the CEO of REI posted a letter. I'll find a link for it in the show note and put it in the show notes. But it was basically saying that the brand new headquarters that they just completed, I guess. They don't really
No,
go
no.
into it in this. But they're going to sell it. They haven't even occupied it yet.
Oh, wow.
And it's enormous. It's like this giant NBBJ project up in Washington, Bellingham, Washington, I believe. And
Oh, wow.
it's a whole campus. And they've decided that they are not. It is not in the best interest of um, the company's future viability to have that campus. So they are not going to have a headquarters. They are going to have multiple headquarters, which are much smaller and spread out all over the place. And they're completely using this as an opportunity to change their business model. I thought what was so interesting about it was that they just spent all these years and dollars developing a campus that they are now going to never even move into. They're going to sell it. They think they can sell it for a profit. They're going to use that money to basically make their business strong and keep the people they have in for who knows, what the future is going to bring. But they're basically completely changing the way that they operate. And I thought it was a very well done letter. It was definitely like an example of leadership being shown, and the way that it was communicated was really well done. So I if you guys haven't seen it, I'll put a link to it in the show notes.
Yeah, please, because I want to look that up.
Yeah. But it gives you an idea of what some companies are doing to say business will never be the same again. Right? So let's not pretend like it's going to be. Let's use this and they're not even saying it like this is an opportunity. They're saying like this is what we have to do to survive. We can't continue to operate the way that we did. It just won't work.
And that's the interesting thing, that part of the conversation, Jeff's session was a little bit about, and because I had brought up that I'm seeing more and more that smaller firms and even sole practitioners are being able to compete with, for larger projects, with larger firms, or, medium to large size firms, because now everybody's looking to streamline the process, also, control budgets, reduce that overhead. And so, the smaller firm can basically hire, the sole practitioner or a small firm could basically hire remote people to basically balance out the staffing needs for projects, and everybody works remotely. And that firm that is either a local firm or able to like land that firm is able to actually compete against, your company and my company, to be able to go after projects that they are qualified for, but normally wouldn't have the staffing to be able to compete with those.
Yeah.
And so now it's actually opening up a pretty interestingly wide array of opportunities for smaller firms to compete at a higher level. And I kind of love it. I kind of also, like, hey, that's a project that we should have.
Should.
But just the fact that it's going to be really interesting opportunities that are coming in the now, not the distant future, but in now, with trying to see how larger firms, like these big, mega firms and stuff, how they're able to. It was mentioned that, if you're still doing things the way you were doing things 6 months ago, you're not paying attention to what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the case now, is that if we continue to operate the way that we did, we're going to be obsolete, because there are going to be these like ninja businesses that are able to be so agile and react to everything and cater to the client's needs far better than, somebody who's still doing things in quite possibly a brick and mortar setting.
Yeah.
If I'm in Baltimore and I'm going to go and work for, somebody in wherever, and I'm going to say, hey, most of the time they want somebody like, face to face, at least, a couple times a month for meetings and things like that. The interesting thing about our particular business model is that we've sort of been that way. And I think you guys are too, is like, we've been that way, that we will go to the client. Client doesn't have to come to us. We always go to the client.
Of course. Yeah.
And that's
the service industry right there.
Exactly. And that's what this this new shift in the way that we're working is really going to be able to afford everybody, not just a select few, but everybody, because the playing field is becoming a little bit different.
Yeah, completely. A lot more flat, for sure. And it's interesting because it's really, there's a lot more competition. I don't know how tapped into the business development side of things you are in your office, but from the stuff that I'm hearing is like, 65 firms are going after this project, not 6.
Yeah.
So it's 10x the number. And so what you're talking about is absolutely happening. And you can't continue to operate how you always have, because the level of competitiveness just went way up, because that playing field has been more leveled. And now, like, companies that are embracing the distributed workforce and the distributed expertise and the distributed talent, that really, like, if you can hire a code expert from anywhere, and you can hire a BIM manager from anywhere, and you can, any number of roles for your company, you're not limited to your geographic location anymore. So you actually can go for the best
Yeah,
person
exactly.
for that role.
Yeah.
Then your team's gonna get better because of that, right? Because you're not limited to a certain pool anymore. As long as you don't think that, you're going to go back to working in that office in that town, and you need those people to be localized to you,
Right.
then those opportunities are open to you. But it does
Well,
take a mindset shift for sure.
it totally does, and I think the firms that are willing to embrace that are going to be the ones that are going to continue to flourish and really set the trend for the way that we continue to evolve the air quote office in the future. Um, because you're spot on. The ability for firms. So, like, say, we wanted to go out and hire this guy Evan Troxel as our kind of like technology, use of technology in practice kind of guru. But hey, there's no way that we're gonna get Evan to come to Baltimore, because Evan, is fully entrenched in living. He's got family and everybody else living in California, but we can still hire Evan. Um, but Evan is now virtual. But and then every once in a great while, if Evan needs to like fly from place to place, Evan, that's just what we do.
Yeah.
And so that is kind of the interesting mindset that you're totally spot on about. Is like now we can go out and hire the best people for our firm and our firm's growth, and they don't have to be sitting in our office.
Yeah. Yeah, because what have we been doing for the last 4 or 5 months?
Exactly.
Operating remotely, so it's proven you can do it. It has been done, and in many cases, people are reporting that they're more productive, more effective. That may change once school begins, but that's, again, it's just going to be a new opportunity to kind of redefine working hours and where you're working from, and it doesn't have to be so based on how we've always done it. People are going to have to be more flexible, so they're going to work when they can, and be about performance rather than how long your butt is in the seat, right? Which I think has been something that this profession has been missing seriously for a long time. It should not be about how long you sit at that computer every day. It should be about what you get done, period. And when you said you were going to get it done by. Who cares when you do it? As long as you agree to show up for those meetings that are important, and you get it done by the time you said you were going to get it done by, and you do it well, like, that is the performance kind of metric that I would want to base my career on. And if I don't have anything to do, why would I be forced to fill that time twiddling my thumbs on the clock, quote unquote, when there's nothing to do? And then those other times when there's a lot to do, you get it done, and nobody has to worry about, because we're salaried, right? Not everybody's salaried, but most. I'll just speak for myself. I'm salaried. Why do you care when I work? You've hired me to do a job. You have not hired me to sit in a chair for 8 or 9 hours a day.
Right. And even if, I agree to like give you 8 hours a day, does it have to be 8 continuous hours? Getting up and going to stretch your legs for work day, and, going out for a walk and just spending time with family. I mean, in a way, because you and I've had this conversation before about
you're working then too. Your mind is.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's a way for you to kind of get a little bit of clarity back into.
Absolutely.
So, okay, I've been staring at the screen for 4 hours, and I need to step away and get a little bit of clarity and kind of reprioritize what the rest of the tasks I need to do are.
Yep.
and it's so much easier. I mean, like I was going to say, it's like, you and I have had this conversation about you're not a 9 to 5 creative. It doesn't work that way. It's you're
Absolutely.
creative when you're creative, and it's like I'm productive when I'm productive. And yeah, I like to get up early in the morning and, like, maybe start working before anybody else logs on, so that I can actually, like, get into, like, oh, somebody sent me some overnight emails, and I can get into reading those and really kind of like prioritizing how I answer those and who needs to help me out with getting some of those answers,
Yeah.
and things like that. And then it's just like, oh, you know what? I feel like taking a break at 9 and going for a walk with my wife, and doing whatever. And hey, everybody's starting to wake up, or the kids are, getting ready to log on to school. Let me help them out for a while. Is somebody like hovering over me, saying, you should be sitting at your desk working?
Can't happen anymore though. Right. And
Exactly.
I think that you are going to see exactly that shift happening over the next few weeks, now that kids are going back to school and people are balancing daycare and
Yeah.
the amount of
Yeah.
time on their screens and school and homework and cooking and all the things, right? So it's going to be another level of, I think everybody kind of breathed a sigh of relief once school got out, but
Yeah.
now that
Yeah.
school's going back in, there's some stress is starting to build again, and people are wondering what's going to
Mm.
happen. And
Um,
it is gonna force changes to happen. I mean, I've already gotten messages and emails like, "Hey, I've got two kids. They're starting. One's going into first grade. One's going into third grade. We've never done this before, right? How many emails or messages have you seen? Like, never done this
yeah.
before.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Exactly. And so in our state, so far every jurisdiction, there isn't, other than private schools, there is nobody who is starting in physical schools. And as of right now, there's this big kind of argument between the governor and the local jurisdictions and private schools on, like like our county specifically. Our county has said, all schools, including private, and so there's this whole big debate and lawsuits and all sorts of other things, because that's how public safety works.
yeah,
Um,
right.
uh, but but yeah, we've had, or even the fact that, like, I've got a couple of people on my team, including myself, that their wives are teachers, and so you know they're starting to. The school hasn't started, but they're starting to go back to work, doing online training, getting things ready to go, and start doing the weeks and weeks of planning to get ready for the new school year. And so we're already starting to see that shift in, hey, I can't work at such and such a time because I've got to do this, or, I've got to take care of my, daughter or son or whoever else and stuff. And so, yeah, the 9 to 5 is not going to be
That's
a
gone.
9 to 5 world.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that's okay. I absolutely love it.
yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
it
contractors are
has
going to
to
be doing the
change.
9 to 5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. I mean, there's definitely still going to be requirements of having to show up at certain times for certain things. That's not going to go away. Nobody's saying that. But
Yeah.
but working around that stuff and becoming much better with time management, I think is, and balancing all these different balls that are being juggled at the same time
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
where there's going to be a new level of attention applied. And
Hmm.
that is a good thing because it's going to force everybody to get a little bit sharper with that kind of stuff and be a little bit better about coordinating the connection points that where people have to hand something off or have a conversation or do a charrette or one thing that some people on my team are doing is just having office hours where it's like publishing these times to say, hey, I'm available at these times to field any questions about anything that you need to throw my way. And then people are also using, there's a feature in Office 365 called Focus Time, and that pre-books slots of time in your calendar so that other people can't just hijack those hours away from you with some ad hoc meeting that just shows up all of a sudden so that you can actually get some work done. So it's kind of equally
Yeah.
important
Yeah.
to have some levels of openness and just say like, okay, these are the times when that kind of interaction can happen. And then these are the times when it absolutely can't, so that I can focus on my work and get things done. And then there's all this other life stuff kind of mixed in there. But I think it is going to focus it's going to require everybody to get a little bit sharper with time management and planning out their work schedules and their home schedules and all that stuff.
Right. Exactly.
Anyway, I can't believe we actually got somewhere with this episode, because it didn't start off that way. But
it was so meandering.
I still feel like I need to. I still feel like now this is a good point to cut it off. I feel like this is a good point to cut it off, so that I can turn off my brain from the work and the architecture side of things and go, as we've said on previous years when we talk about our summer trips, so that I can recharge. I really seriously need that right now. So.
Oh, I agree. Well, time to turn off, man.
What's the sound for turning? Do do do. Like there's going to be a sound effect for the Matrix getting unplugged, or getting unplugged from the Matrix. Kind of like a toilet flush sound, isn't it? All right, that might be all for this episode, but maybe listen to the end just in case. This show is part of the Gable Media Podcast Network. See all the shows at gablemedia.com. That's GABLMEDIA.com. You can help support what we're doing here by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts to help get the word out, and don't forget to share it with your friends. We'd love to hear from you, so leave a comment on the website at archispeakpodcast.com, where you can find our entire catalog of shows. Thanks for listening. Talk to you soon.
My kind of luck, I'll be up on the block in front of all of my friends. This is what you get. This is what you get. This is a schedule, this is a set. It's unpredictable lest you forget. If you blow, you can bet. I know. This is what you get. This is a schedule, this is a set. It's unpredictable lest you forget. If you blow, you can bet. I know. The flow makes footprints from the pipe to the table, to the top, to the basement. Blow by blow, kinds of steel, very real, very rock, but it's still very rock body. Paper, scissors, sister, preach, deep, open the rig, fast synapse. Back jumps on pages, after still the race, a new tool and a toy pool. And this is what you get. This is what you get. This is a schedule, this is a set. It's unpredictable lest you forget. If you blow, you can bet. I know. This is what you get. This is a schedule, this is a set. It's unpredictable as you forget. If you blow, you